What if I told you Floyd wasn't actually murdered? And the real twist in DTF St. Louis episode 6 is that someone may have staged his death to look like one. Not Clark, not some random killer, but Carol. Yeah, I know that sounds crazy, but once you really break down this episode, it starts to feel less like a wild theory and more like something the show is quietly hinting at. So instead of asking the usual question, who killed Floyd, maybe we should be asking something darker. What if Floyd died on his own and someone changed the story after? Because everything in this episode starts with Floyd and where he is mentally. By episode 6, Floyd isn't just sad or confused, he's empty. And that opening scene tells you everything you need to understand. When Carol says she feels like she wants to squirm away, that's not just rejection, that's humiliation. That's the moment Floyd realizes something inside him is gone. Not just the relationship, but his identity. Floyd is someone who thrives on connection. He wants to make people feel good. That's his whole personality. And now he can't even do that for his own wife. So when that's taken away from him, he doesn't fight back. He doesn't argue. He just shuts down. And then we get the tiger-tiger situation, which might seem awkward or even funny on the surface, but it's actually one of the most important parts of the episode. Because Floyd isn't really looking for love. He's not even fully looking for sex. What he wants is simple. He just wants proof that someone still desires him, that he still has that effect on people. But instead of getting that, he gets rejected, not by someone who knows him, not by someone with history, but by a complete stranger. And it's not dramatic, it's not emotional, it's just a quiet, instant no. That moment hits harder than anything else, because now it's confirmed. It's not just Carol, it's everyone. And once someone truly believes that they're no longer wanted, no longer seen, no longer desired, you start to understand why Floyd would still go to that pool, even after everything was already canceled. Which brings us to the biggest question. What actually happened at the pool? Because the show never really shows us. We see everything leading up to it. Floyd's emotional collapse, the rejection, the silence that follows, but the actual moment, it's missing. And in storytelling, when something that important is missing, it usually means it matters. It means we're supposed to question it. So think about it for a second. Floyd goes to the pool alone. He's emotionally broken. He feels like he has nothing left. No connection, no validation, no identity. At that point, it's not crazy to think he didn't go there to meet someone at all. Maybe he went there to end something. And if that's true, then Floyd's death might not be a murder in the way we've been thinking. It might be something much quieter, much more personal. But that's where the theory shifts. Because if Floyd died on his own, then someone else had the opportunity to step in after. And that's where Carol comes back into the picture. By episode 6, Carol is already emotionally detached from Floyd. She's not confused about her feelings. She's not going back and forth. She's done. That hotel scene proves it. She doesn't hesitate. She doesn't try to fix things. She ends it and walks away. That kind of emotional distance changes how someone reacts to a situation like this. Because if you're no longer emotionally connected, you're not thinking from a place of love or grief. You're thinking from a place of clarity, sometimes even cold clarity. Now imagine this. Carol finds out what happened to Floyd, or maybe she's the one who finds him at the pool. In that moment, she understands everything, how he died, why it happened, and what it means going forward. And one of the biggest things it means is financial. Because here's something a lot of people overlook. If Floyd died by suicide, there's a strong chance that any life insurance policy wouldn't pay out. That's a standard clause in most policies. And the show has already hinted that their situation isn't exactly stable financially. So now there's a new layer to this. If Floyd's death doesn't result in a payout, then what? What happens if someone realizes that in that moment? And what if they also realize they have a chance to change how that death is seen? That's where this theory becomes really interesting, because it suggests that Carol didn't kill Floyd, but she may have staged the scene to look like something else, something external, something suspicious, something that would trigger an investigation, and more importantly, a payout. Not out of anger, not out of revenge, but out of survival. And the show gives us just enough to consider it. There's still that unexplained presence around the scene, the sense that someone else was there. Most people assume that points to a killer, but what if it doesn't? What if that person didn't cause Floyd's death, but arrived after it? And if that person is Carol, then everything changes because now she's not the one who created the event, she's the one who rewrote it. And that's a completely different kind of twist. What makes this theory so powerful is that it doesn't turn Carol into some over the top villain. It doesn't require her to plan a murder or act out of rage. It only requires one thing: a decision, a single moment where emotion is gone and logic takes over. And that's what makes it feel real, because people don't always make decisions in extremes. Sometimes they make them quietly, in moments where no one is watching, based on what they think they need to do to move forward. So now, instead of asking, who killed Floyd, maybe the better question is this: what really happened at that pool? And who got there last? Because if Floyd died on his own, and someone changed the story after, then the truth we've been looking for might not be hidden. It might have been rewritten. So tell me what you think. Do you believe Carol staged the scene? Or is there still someone else behind all of this? Because if this theory turns out to be true, then the most shocking part of this story won't be Floyd's death. It'll be what someone chose to do after it happened.